As a longtime fan, Devil May Cry has always been a series with a track record of uncertainty. Oftentimes, the games fluctuate from superb to subpar. With the release of Ninja Theory's DMC Devil May Cry, it was difficult to say where the series would go from there. All my uncertainty faded away last year during E3 when Devil May Cry director Hideaki Itsuno dropped the news on Devil May Cry 5. Here we are now, months after the release, wondering where the game really stands in the series, as well as in the genre as a whole. After all, the first game practically wrote the handbook on how to design 3D character action games, while the third game set the standard for the modern character action title. This is a genre that prides itself on having deeply nuanced combat systems. Devil May Cry 5 keeps the fast-paced, engaging combat feeling fresh throughout the 20-mission campaign, while having 3 unique characters to play as. On the normal difficulty, the game is generally easier than most of the previous titles in the series, providing a more welcoming experience. Regardless, the multitude of higher difficulty modes as well as the vast depth of combat more than make up for such initial restrictions. The game straddles the fine line between simplicity and complexity. I've never experienced such an intricate yet inviting gameplay system until now. There's a genuine attempt to get players invested in getting better without losing the mechanical brilliance the series is known for. As all good character action games are, Devil May Cry 5 is incredibly replayable. Despite the main campaign taking around 14 hours, the sheer replay value easily surpasses most titles. It's no surprise, however, as the game is designed around replayability with the various moves, tricks, and general skill required to get S rank on the higher difficulty missions. Immediately after finishing the game, I felt compelled to try my hand at the Son of Sparta difficulty. There's a magnetic quality to the combat that compelled me to continue playing, even past the credits. Devil May Cry 5 prides itself on this exceptional replay value in a variety of ways. First of all, the combat is smooth, satisfying, and free-flowing. It provides the player with straightforward sets of enemies in beautifully demonic environments. Furthermore, the style meter gauges the player's combat variation as well as their fundamental skill level. It demands the player keep a consistent stream of damage without spamming moves or getting hit. Basically, there's this simple yet engaging feedback loop that adds a greater layer of investment during combat. Admittedly, the new meter feels a lot more forgiving as a way of streamlining. The style meter feeds into the mission rank in order to grade the player and how stylishly they played. The developers also penalize you for reviving, but even that has its roots in style, as well as the old system that deducted points for the use of items. After all, taking damage kills style meter momentum. In another endeavor to simplify, the mission rank system no longer grades the player with a damage or clear time section. This allows players to focus on excelling solely on stylish combat rather than worrying about taking any damage at all or feeling the need to rush through a level with optimal routes memorized. Besides the ranking system, the level design and item system have been overhauled. Levels no longer have any real puzzles, backtracking, or timed platforming obstacles. As for the items, all active use items have been scrapped. Normally, removing content is looked down upon, but for Devil May Cry, there is a definite good in the absence of stuff like the platforming and puzzles, as it allows the developers to focus purely on the amazing combat. Those tedious aspects of the level design have always plagued the pacing of the series, so I'm especially glad that the developers decided to remove them. As for the items, the games always harshly punish their usage when ranking player performance. They've always been a crutch for the player that I often found pointless. If they wanted to dissuade the player from using them, why even have items in the first place? Both of these overhauls add towards creating an environment that precisely excels at emphasizing stylistic action. As mentioned before, the combat is an obvious highlight of the game. A Devil May Cry without good combat is essentially a horse with no legs. Luckily, Devil May Cry 5 is easily my favorite of the series when it comes to the sheer responsiveness, combat variety, and engagement factor. Honestly, I haven't played a game so mechanically rewarding since Bayonetta 2. Fighting basic mobs often led to easy chances to rack up style points, usually without taking any damage. This contrasted heavily with the boss fights, which left me on the edge of my seat attempting to maintain my style meter while trying my best to take down the latest challenger. The changes that have been made this time around have allowed the title to be a much more welcoming experience compared to past games in the series. Devil May Cry 5 sheds its shoddy puzzle platforming roots in favor of having a laser focus on its highly entertaining and nuanced combat system. Along with the smart decision of having combat heavy levels, Devil May Cry 5 sports 3 whole characters to play as. This trio includes the series staple Dante, the beginner friendly Nero, and the mysterious and oddly charismatic newcomer V. Each character brings something special to the table. Starting off, Dante's back in a way reminiscent of Devil May Cry 4. He has all 4 styles as usual, along with a neat arsenal of weapons. The sheer variety of options available to Dante is absolutely impressive considering all his weaponry, styles, and double triggers. There's an immense freedom when playing as the legendary Demon Hunter that no other game can hope to match. Dante's playstyle is very similar to his past iteration, but his new weapons and additional double trigger make for a fresh experience regardless. Honestly, there's a bit of a learning curve when it comes to understanding what Dante's really capable of due to the ability to shuffle between styles on the fly. Trickster provides him with the best mobility out of the 3 characters, while Gunslinger and Swordmaster provide additional opportunities to add more variety to your combos. Royal Guard requires strict timing for effective blocking along with the ability to trade damage for double trigger energy. In general, Dante's flexibility in combat easily results in the highest skill ceiling of the 3. Right behind Dante is Nero, the aggressive newcomer from the 4th title. His gameplay is as beginner friendly as it was in his previous iteration. However, the Double Breaker system allows for a greater degree of choice when compared to his one-trick pony of a demon arm last time around. He plays similarly to Dante. However, his Double Breakers add a variety of interesting utilities to his arsenal that easily differentiate him from the legend. Along with the familiar Red Queen and Blue Rose, Nero returns as a way to ease less experienced players into the gameplay. Finally, there's V. His experimental demon familiar based combat adds a new layer of strategy to the genre. V's playstyle is a fresh take on combat, as he has to micromanage his demons to weaken enemies, and then swoop in for the kill at the end. His familiars are unable to eliminate foes, so the final blow has to be done by the man himself. V can invest double trigger energy on setting his familiars to attack automatically, or go into a sort of double trigger mode that boosts the strength of his familiars, while also summoning his strongest familiar, Nightmare. Playing as V delivered a different type of satisfaction than what the other 2 could provide. When compared to playing as Dante or Nero, finishing off enemies felt more grandiose and satisfying with V. Despite how similarly V plays when compared to the others in terms of sheer functionality, the fact that his attacks are separated into the different characters allows for an experience that's a first of its kind. Though the gameplay does simply boil down to kill all enemies, Devil May Cry 5 mixes up the formula by having a strong amount of variety in the form of its playable cast. As for the story, the writers decided to be a lot more direct this time around. No more dancing around the big questions. I don't want to spoil anything major, so I'll just say that Devil May Cry 5 has one of, if not the, best story in the series. It manages to entertain and engage without being overly complicated. Sure, it's not perfect. Trish and Lady get the short end of the stick as they are mostly there as damsels in distress and eye candy. Admittedly, it's clear that their importance in the series is mostly faded away, but still, they're just lame in this game. Luckily, the rest of the returning cast as well as the newcomers are superb. Dante is as enjoyable to watch as he was back in the 3rd title. Surprisingly, Nero is actually a cool addition this time around. No more excessive screaming about Kyrie. When it comes to V, he's strangely magnetic. As a newcomer that probably shops at Hot Topic and listens to Linkin Park at max volume, he seemed a bit underwhelming at first. However, as the story progressed, I found him to be more and more endearing and interesting. Finally, Nico is absolutely amazing. She's a craftswoman that's always a joy to watch. From her hilarious interactions with the cast to those insane van driving scenes, Nico is a welcome addition to the series. Both newcomers easily fall under my list of favorite Devil May Cry characters. Devil May Cry 5 is an absolute dream of a title. I'd highly recommend it to fans of the series as well as anyone that just likes action games. There's a lot to love in this title, and it's easily a top contender for Game of the Year. I usually get let down by hype, but this is one of those games that totally lives up to all the waiting and uncertainty that comes with being a fan of this long-running series. Devil May Cry 5 is an absolute roller coaster of a ride that is definitely worth picking up. Thanks for watching the review. If you enjoyed it, feel free to like the video and consider subscribing to my channel. If you want more, here are some of my other videos. See you all next time, when I explain the need to rename the character action genre.